Here we go. Good evening. Time is 6:30 p.m. I'm Chairman Tim Toth. I'm calling the Select Board Business Meeting to order this 25th day of January 2023. You all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. I will state for the record, not only are we being streamed live on TCTV Cable Channel 8 and our YouTube web platform, but this evening's recording will be available for later viewing on our YouTube channel. Following the current OML guidance, if we happen to lose power or we happen to lose our technology feed, the meeting will pause at that point in time. If we cannot resolve within 20 minutes by the guidelines, the meeting comes to an abrupt halt. We will follow that OML guidance. Quick shout out to our TP&L folks, Power and Light. They have been doing an awesome job. Every community that borders us had thousands of people without electricity in the last 48 hours, and knock wood, lights are still on. Kudos to them for that. This evening, we have the following board members, staff, and expected guests. We do indeed have a quorum. Mr. Bennett is not joining us. He's out working with the state, keeping roads safe for everybody. Ms. Richard is joining us remotely. Hello, Julie. I have Terry Griffiths, Mike Curry, myself. We have our town administrator, our assistant town administrator, our administrative assistant from out of the TA's office. We have a number of folks joining us both remote and in person. In the room, I have Lori Weta, Developmental Services, Cheryl Richards from the Collector Office, Justice Graves and Luann Royer out of the Assessor's Office, Steve Castle for TCTV, Bob Zosik for DPW, and Noel Francis from our advisory committee. We do expect to have some folks joining us remotely. We already have Candace Graves from Rec Commission and Kelly Pomprion, our accountant, online with us. We expect to be hearing from Peter Sanborn, Tom Harrington, our legal counsel, and we do have Jackie Prime also remote. I didn't forget you, Jackie. As always, the agenda for this evening has been set no later than 48 hours out as prescribed by law, publicly available at the official source for town information, templetonma.gov. Although I have discretion as chair to add or remove from the agenda, it has been set to allow for time, personnel resources, and public awareness. I reserve the right to remove or move agenda items around to best fit our business and our guests. I know there will be one change, Mr. LaMontagne. I believe we will be striking item 5C. Our legislative team is not able to get here due to illnesses and some other commitments at the General Assembly tonight. So that's the first item we will remove off our agenda. If it's your first time attending a select board meeting or any public meeting within the community, welcome. We're certainly glad you're here with us. Please be aware we'll do our best to address all agenda items adequately, all public concerns with due regard, and all comments with dignity and patience. I ask you please do your best to show the same respects. And a few comments for the guests joining us remotely this evening, the Zoom rules of the road. Whenever possible, have your video on. I do understand sometimes with streaming and broadband, it may be easier to keep your video off till it's your chance to speak. If we're having problems, TCTV will chime in for us. Sometimes shutting the video off does improve the audio clarity and quality. Use your mute feature when you are speaking. Whenever you're not speaking, although TCTV can place any and all on mute, it's easier if you control your own. You can raise your hand, use the raised hand feature in Zoom, or politely break in if you're calling in via telephone. I don't believe anybody's doing that this evening. If you request to see materials shared on the screen, please request that. We will do our best to help everyone remain synchronized and helpful with the viewing public. Only the chair, in this case, my vice and TCTV, can share the content to the screen. And now that we have the housekeeping out of the way, we will get into the nuts and bolts of our meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Vice.
I move to approve the minutes of January 11th, 2023 as presented.
Second that motion.
Have a motion, multiple seconds. Do I have any discussion, team?
Just a couple corrections, Mr. Chair.
Good.
So, under H, was it 5H? Curry asked the compact on environment, should that be impact? It's just a.
You could be amended.
And then, just a little awkward. Curry asked if Holly to post the letter or would it be could post the letter for the public to read? And then, Richard wants Scout Hollow update. It'd be Hall. So that's under 7, board member and administrator comments and reports. The second sentence, Curry asked if Holly to post letter for public to follow.
Okay.
And the one after that, Richard wants Scout Hollow. That's all. Easy.
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
I'd
Vice.
like to amend my motion to, I move to approve the minutes of January 11th, 2023 as amended.
Second that motion.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Good catch, Terry. Thank you.
Yep.
And proof positive, as I was reading through these, sometimes your mind is
Yep.
processing it. I read it and it made perfect sense.
Right?
That is excellent. Thank you.
That happens to me all the time.
Any further discussions, team?
I just was wondering about Linda from Breezeway Farm Consulting spoke again concerning CDBG grant application. This will be in the next agenda. Was that something that? Tonight?
It is actually, our public hearing is the next meeting.
Next meeting.
Next meeting. Okay. But it was supposed to be tonight.
The timing didn't work out with the notice requirements and everything like that.
Okay.
There are legal requirements to post those
Okay.
that are outside of our normal 48-hour window. But
Thank you.
good catch. Thank you for that.
Just-
Any other discussions, team? Hearing none, we'll bring this to a vote. Ms. Richard. We can't hear you, Julie.
I read.
Sorry about,
Mm,
yeah, yes.
Thank
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, we can now. Thank you. Ms. Griffiths?
Yes.
Mr. Curry?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you, team. We have no executive session minutes. That is correct.
That's correct.
All right. Citizen input. Second call, citizen input.
Tim, if I may, just remind everybody that living down on School Street, Cottage Street in Vernon, there was a neighborhood meeting this coming Saturday at 10 a.m. We'll probably establish in front of your school.
Thank you for that.
So I got some mail, Adam and Bob as well, from concerned residents for plows leaving their plowing on the sidewalk in certain areas for the town to come and clean up, which is a hazard. And it's been repetitive. We're trying to work on educating the public through getting something out with the electric bills. And there's other residents that are sending me great ideas, and I hope to follow up with that because I'm supposed to be with Lori, working on educating the public. And the first thing I asked Holly tonight, I'm like, is there a budget for that? Because there's some really good ideas floating around. But Adam printed this out to whom it may concern, and this is an official letter. Bob already issued a warning, so this is the official backup. So the next time it'll be a $50 fine. So that there is bylaws in town, and these particular residents are hoping that we can, this particular one, are hoping that we can establish or educate the public by putting like even burn permit fines. Maybe we could just have a season to season what fines can be had to the public. So it's an ongoing conversation through email, and I hope to, maybe visit with you and talk to Adam about going further with it. So thank you.
Thank you for
And
that.
thank you to the residents that are concerned about their neighbors. It's awkward. It's hard to come forward. But it's very well appreciated. See something, say something.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
And thanks to the resident.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. We have no new employees to introduce tonight.
We do not,
Adam,
Mr. Chair.
thank you for that. And no appointments as well. Legislative team, we've postponed to a future meeting. Okay, in no particular order, presentations, FY 23 second quarter. We'll start with developmental services.
Hello,
Good evening.
everybody.
How are you?
How are you?
Taylor.
So I know we get pretty boring sometimes, and it's sometimes all the same information, but we, as director of the department, I was actually able to attend several different trainings during the last quarter. We also interviewed candidates for CPC administration, and so now they're taken care of too. Let's see. I had the pleasure of speaking on the town's part for the Lions Club at their annual meeting, which was very nice and got a lot of information out that way. And we took care of the MRPC data that they needed for the annual report to Green Communities with the help of Bob and his crew over there. Thank you very much. We had a presentation to the select board in October. Was it October? October for the change to the fee schedule for the building department and the inspectors that do that work. And Rhonda really did that virtually on her own, very little guidance. With COVID-19, we had an average of about 15 positive cases per week during that time period. We still have supplies that we have for our residents. We have test kits, thermometers, gloves, masks. They're available here in this building. The building commissioner and administrative assistant processed 83 building permits with a total fee income of $28,813. The construction value is estimated at $4,674,021. There were 40 electrical permits with fee income totaling $6,945. There were 29 plumbing and gas permits together, totaling $3,295. We already talked about Rhonda. The safety inspections were completed by the building commissioner and the fire chief for issuance, for information for your office for the issuance of liquor licenses. There were a couple minor corrections, but they were completed and the certificates were issued. Agricultural Commission is hosting a beekeeping seminar on February 6th in this room at 6 p.m. And we presented a bylaw on town floor. And I think, as everybody knows, that was a resounding no. That's what town meeting is for. And we are also working with the American Farmland Trust and Agricultural Commission to look at local importance designations for farms here in town. Zoning enforcement officer issued a final notice to a property off off State Road. And he also processed a variance request for, I'm talking about the Zoning Board of Appeals right now.
Yes.
We received and processed a variance request for a reduction in the offset. It was continued from a previous meeting in November and met again on January 17th. Planning Board had several canceled meetings due to lack of agenda items. They did review a site plan, stormwater plan for 280 State Road, which is Car Works. They're putting a new building there. They also reviewed a special permit application for the gift shop on 12 Elm Street, which is above the laundromat over there. It'll be nice to have something
Yeah.
over there again. And we received and processed an application for the site plan for Templeton Green LLC.
That's the storefront.
Yes, yes. Conservation, our administrative assistant, Jessica Case, has participated in a lot of programs to come up to speed and to become and act as our conservation agent. She's working very well with our conservation board, and they're accomplishing a lot.
And watching.
They're really out there. Yeah.
I wrote nice down there.
Oh, good. Excellent.
She's got a good confidence about her.
She does. She's a very smart young lady. They actually completed 22 site walks in the last quarter, and they issued 5 certificates of completion for work that was done and received 1 Mass DEP superseding order for lot 7-109, which is 109 Gardner Road. That was one of the Van Dyke houses. They processed 4 RDAs, which are determinations, 1 NOI and 1 order of condition extension. An enforcement order was prepared and delivered in person to a property owner off State Road for building and living in a wetland without proper permitting. That's an ongoing, going to be a while thing.
Yeah.
Members actually contacted the Army Corps of Engineers when they received a forestry cutting plan. They just wanted to walk the Birch Hill Dam area just to make sure that everybody was on the same page with what they were doing over there. And as you know, we were in a pretty bad drought, and conservation did a good job of keeping everybody up to date on what the situation was. Board of Health, there was a walkthrough with the health agent and the zoning enforcement officer with the appointed receiver for the property on Patriots Road. That is continuing to move forward. There was some good news with that this
Yep.
week, so we
Effort there.
a lot of effort there. Thank you. The sanitary code is going to be receiving some changes. So I attended a Mass DPH seminar about what the changes are going to be. So that will be up to date for complaints and things in rentals. The tight tank alarm testing, clubhouse septic system, and well inspection happened at Templeton Fish and Game. Filed the report with Mass DEP as we do yearly. Sent out our regular renewal applications for septic, hauling, installers, tobacco, nicotine, food, rubbish. Adam and I actually followed up on a report of homeless people living at the Otter River Pool area. While we were there, there was nothing for us to see at that point in time. I haven't heard anything else since. We continue with the 29 Sawyer Street abandoned house. We've had several sessions in court in Worcester for that one. And we were invited to an inspection of 130 Old Winchendon Road during the quarter. And actually that house was condemned at the time that we were on site. Let's see. Our landfill is in great shape. We sent our report to Mass DEP. All the levels were below requirement. The swale and vent the swale was cleared and the vent was replaced. Thank you, Bob. And with the Board of Health, it's the usual septic inspections, perk tests, well permits, Title V reports, all sorts of interesting things. We did have 10 food establishment inspections, 2 with minor issues that were corrected during the inspections. And we have added 6 nuisance complaints that are currently in process. Community Preservation Committee. They actually interviewed and hired Jessica Case, who is in my office,
Mhm.
and they've already made great progress.
I'm so impressed watching the meetings and otherwise,
Yeah.
very, very professional, very,
Mhm.
it's great.
I'm warning you right now, I'm counting on her as my replacement someday. So just so you're aware.
Yep, she's very good.
The Economic Development and Industrial Committee, I am so happy that the select board was able to appoint Glenn Eaton, Liz Toth, Michael Curry, and Steve Castle. We are moving forward. We will support them every way that we can administratively and whatever else they need. So,
A busy quarter for sure.
And that's not the half of it, right?
yeah, you can't put it all in.
I do know, like many of our boards, commissions and committees, conservation has already given us the initial signal and the shot across the bow that they'll be looking for some members to be joining them.
We
have
are.
some who are graying out and aging out and their time to serve is beyond them. So like we do for everything, you know, looking to help out your community,
Please.
please, please, please,
Please.
community interest form, volunteer, because that's how we make this happen.
Yeah.
It takes the community
It does. I
to
agree.
support everything going on.
I agree.
We went to the MMA conference and everybody out here is
Suffering.
struggling,
Yep.
Yes,
getting, just getting people to volunteer or otherwise.
it's rough.
Yep.
Any questions I can answer?
No, again, a very comprehensive report and on a busy quarter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Up next, community services.
Hello, everybody.
Jackie.
So I have the library report to start off with. It's been a good quarter. We finally resumed story hour and the class visits from Templeton Center School, so that was great. Yeah. I completed and submitted the final 2 reports to the Board of Library Commissioners, and we were notified 2 weeks ago that our certification has been approved for another year. I submitted a grant to the Cultural Council, and I was notified last week that that was approved. So we're going to have a really neat Fabergé egg painting workshop in the spring, which I think will be really fun. I participated in the interviews for the new VSO. Worked on the library and senior services fiscal year 24 budget requests, and just met with the other unit directors about their budgets and just assisted them as I needed to. And I presented a capital request on behalf of Recreation, and generally supported the activities of that commission. And Candace is on board, so she can elaborate some more on all that's been happening with Rec in a few minutes. So that's the library side of things. Over at the senior center, the Council on Aging Board met once this quarter. A flu and COVID shot clinic was held with a lot of shots being administered. We started our grab and go meals funded by the ARPA monies that your board approved. Very well received. The center did close for a localized surge of COVID for a week. And so far, knock on wood, everything's been good. Our activities coordinator resigned. We have a temporary person in there now. She's great. She's a former volunteer. So we're hoping that'll, kind of bridge the gap till we can find a permanent person. Our administrative assistant, Linda, began a SNAP training, which will, it will make her a specialized SNAP outreach partner, and it will give her much quicker access to someone that can help with applications and expedite things for the many folks that have visited the center to apply for that assistance. So that's really great. She kind of initiated that on her own. And it's going to make a big difference, I think, in the speed in which those applications are approved. We had a student intern from Mount Wachusett for a few months during this quarter, and she worked to develop a resource manual, which we'll be using daily over there. And planning began to hold an on-site tax assistance appointments through ARPA. This was also initiated by a resident in town who's done this for a few years and thought it would be a great spot at the center to offer those appointments free to seniors to help complete their tax returns. And we had some pies donated by the Friends of the Elders for Thanksgiving. And as always, I've included the statistics for the quarter for transportation, social service interactions, attendance, and volunteer hours. So it's been a busy quarter, but a good one. So if you have any questions about library or senior services, I'm happy to try to answer them.
No questions, general comment, two services vital to the community. And with the understanding that if we lose them, we also lose the access to our neighboring and surrounding communities. So it's so critical we keep these up and running all the way around.
Very true. Very true.
Mr. Chair,
yeah.
I just have a question. Jackie, could you describe the grab and go meals? Just a quick thumbnail of that.
Yeah, so I know the last one was Valley View Farm supplied, I think it was, I want to say it was pot roast, a pot roast dinner. And so what happens is it's advertised in the newsletter, a month ahead of time that this meal is going to be offered. Folks that are encouraged to call and sign up. And then on the day of the distribution, everything is, packaged up, ready to go. Folks can just come and pick up their meals and take off. They can, now that the center is open, they can, have their meal right there if they like to. So, and your board did approve, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but I think it was one meal per month to be funded through ARPA for an entire calendar year. So, and
He's shaking his head yes if you can't see him on camera.
and that's great because that allows us to, potentially fund a second meal every month, either through donations or, fundraising. So it's great. There's, Cindy has a lot of concerns about the numbers of food insecure seniors in town. So anything that we can do is really great.
Okay.
Yep, understood. And a shameless plug for our kitchen over there. I know I've had a couple conversations with Cindy. We get the kitchen up and running, which is the first domino to stand in line. And then we have availabilities through the Montechusett Outreach Council, where we can do a hot meal on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. And that is crucial.
That's our goal. That will really make a huge difference when we can offer that. So
Yep.
one step at a time.
I didn't think of it during citizen input, but we were open for a warming center yesterday.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And probably ongoing throughout this winter with these storms. How did we announce that?
It was a little clunky yesterday because Elaine over at the center received a couple of calls first thing in the morning asking if the center would be open as a warming center for folks that either didn't have power or, mostly folks that lost power. And she called me and I called our emergency management director, and he wasn't really aware that there was, kind of an issue here, which, as Tim said at the beginning, I think compared to some other towns, we didn't have that many folks out of power. But if you're out of power, then that's all that matters, right? If you're sitting in a cold house. So so Rich Curtis made some phone calls and got back to me and said that they would have a CERT volunteer at the center at 4 when the staff leaves, and they would stay as long as needed. So to my knowledge, no one took advantage of that, but I think was hoping to, talk to Adam tomorrow and maybe kind of get things a little more firmed up, like you said, Terry, for the future, as far as what the protocol is for making that call that, yeah, it is a warming center, and getting the word out to people either through, I don't know, somebody said, well, it should have been on Facebook. And I'm thinking, well, if you don't have power, you may not have a device that's charged up. You may not be able to check and see what
Yeah.
is on Facebook. So I don't know. We'll have to figure this out.
Part of climate change, so.
A quick question for you, Jackie or
Yeah.
Adam. Do we have any kind of architect drawing for the kitchen, or are we just kind of, we're still swagging what we think we need for it, right? We would need to spend the money in order to get that, correct?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
What we're doing right now is we're coordinating to have the architect come up with the plans and everything, and we're trying to coordinate and encompass the emergency management building, because the CPC appropriated some funds to have that building evaluated as well. So when the architect does come out to do some final review of these two sites, because he's going to be coming down soon for the roof at the senior center. So we're trying to coordinate it all, where we're consolidating projects, and when I say consolidation, and the architect's time we're using efficiently,
Got it.
to try to get these all in at the same time, so he doesn't have to keep traveling out, and we could address multiple projects at the same time.
Okay, it's our normal architect.
And and right now, what was it? Sorry,
It's our normal architect that we get.
it's architect Andrew Canada.
Andy?
Well,
Andrew,
normally
right?
use-
Andrew,
Yeah.
Andrew.
And there's also an individual, forgive me for not remembering his name, that is the senior center and has professional experience in designing kitchen, and he actually has a layout.
Yeah.
I did Cindy, and the architect's gonna be coming out shortly for a roof meeting. So I'm hoping to coordinate that while he's out here to meet this other individual to try to get more of a plan.
And if I could just provide
Victor.
a really quick update.
Gail Noel's watching, and so she's in the YouTube chat. She said Victor.
Victor, yeah, Victor.
good name.
Apologize.
We will be having a pre-conference meeting mid-March
Yeah.
to try to coordinate for when they go out and to get the roof done. So we're pretty optimistic that you'll start seeing work on that project come April. April, if not May, but
Sounds good.
Good.
Oh, Julie, looks like Julie has a question.
Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, I just had a quick question on funding for the kitchen. Like Mike's question was a really good question, but I'm wondering, we don't have anything, correct? Slated once again for that project at this time, right?
Capital made a
I haven't
recommendation.
seen anything.
Yep, Capital made a recommendation to fund it with ARPA. So we just gotta, we gotta shake out, what are we actually going, the budget process, Julie, will wind up finalizing. Oh, Kelly does too.
Kelly has her hand up. Through the chair.
We have still left from the original project around $55,000
Correct.
that can be used toward the kitchen. So, that will help with that. So we do have those funds.
Thank you, Kelly.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Any
if
other
Candace
questions?
wants to hop on and give us the rec report, then we can continue with the others when she's through.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, Candace.
Hi, good evening. So the rec commission in October, the second quarter, we were busy with soccer and Gilman Way in the concession stand. And we're working with our coordinator, Kayla. She did a wonderful job. During that period of time, we were finishing up in October. So we had given our coaches some medals to give to all the players as a final thank you for everybody for doing a wonderful job this season and playing. And we look forward to next year's program and building on what we've started. We also started the basketball registration in October, and we welcomed a new coordinator in that one as well, Nick, and his team. And we voted on purchasing a new Conex trailer that will be behind the current one at Gilman Waite, that will house our softball tractor that we use for sweeping the fields. We hope to get the purchase done sometime in the spring, so that we can put the tractor back into that new one. In November, we started planning the winter basketball season with our new coordinators and coaches, and we ordered all the equipment and worked on the queries and stuff and getting all the paperwork together for the coaches. We started working on our FY24 budget during that period. And December, we helped with the tree lighting event in the villages. We did rec basketball, started at Brown that point. It was the 3rd of December, and we had 204 boys and girls ages 5 to 15 registered for our rec winter basketball league, which we hold in both the Templeton Elementary School gym and the middle school gym, and is currently going on right now. We have about 22 teams in our league this year, and we've been very fortunate to have around, I'd say, about 17 coaches and assistants this season. Ray and Nick and Bill have been doing a wonderful job in this program as to date. We're very lucky to have these individuals working with the town and on the rec basketball. The recreation generated about 7 referee paying jobs, which we averaged, the average age was about 14 and up. So it's fun to see a lot of the kids learning the skill of doing a referee. Some of them, you know, they've been getting some training by our assistant coordinator, Ray, and they've been really picking up on the fundamentals of reffing. So it's really exciting to watch. We've had about 22 local businesses that's sponsored our league so they sponsor the teams. So that was wonderful to see the community come out and help this program that the town has. The season is really looking very good right now, and we're really can't say much about our staff. We're just very blessed to have them. What else is going on? Our Division 1 and 2 are an 8-week program, and then our Division 4 and 3 is a 10-week. They'll be getting playoffs somewhere towards the end of February to March. On Wednesday nights, we also have a Phillipston, the Phillipston gym. We offer a skill night training for our Division 3 and 4. It's something new that we offered this year that we're trying out, and we hope to expand it next season to our younger divisions. And the end of December, we became officially Parks and Recreation Commission, and we're looking forward to learning our new role in that, with the parks being added to our name and all the roles that come with that, all the things we have to do. So, and that's the Templeton Parks and Rec Commission, what we've been doing. We've been doing a lot more than that, but that's what we've been doing for the second quarter.
Awesome.
Very good. A busy second quarter. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions?
I have none. It's a pretty comprehensive report. Thank you, Candace.
Okay, thank you for having me tonight. Have a good evening.
Thanks for everything you do
Thanks,
behind the scenes. Thanks for everything you do behind the scenes too, Candace.
Thank you. You're welcome.
She is a hardworking woman, believe me.
Oh, I know.
Over on the Cultural Council side, this quarter, they funded a Narragansett Historical Society, or the Historical Society hosted a haunted walk that was sponsored by the Templeton Cultural Council. That was took place on Boynton Road and across the street at the cemetery. The council met twice this quarter. Both meetings were to review the 2023 grant applications and to vote for which grants would be funded. And Lisa mentioned in her report, which is helpful, if you're interested in seeing which grants were approved, you can find that information on the Mass Cultural Council website. So, and that's all she had reported for Cultural Council. As always, they're looking for members, same as Recreation, by the way. We, those two committees, barely have a quorum. So if one person can't attend, then the meeting can't be held. So we'd like to see additional members on both of those committees. So that's all I have for Cultural Council. And before I turn it over to Steve, I don't have anything for Veteran Services. As you know, there was a turnover in that position. Peter Noel is our VSO, and I think I know he'll be able to present a quarterly report the next time about all the things he's working on. So we can turn it over to Mr. Steve Castle.
Second round.
Really, why do I feel like?
Hey, it's like
clapping?
Zoom old
Why do I
time.
feel like-
Yeah, it is. Our Hollywood Squares
Hey,
board is
Jackie.
big again.
Good evening. And Hannah and Caitlin do a great job of keeping it together. I'd be going mad trying to remember how to do it with that many Zoom participants. So in our second quarter, I want to tell you a quick story. And I'll make it very quick. Actually, I'm going to time this, Terry.
Oh, buddy. Well, when
All
it
right.
came up, I started laughing. I was like, I know I'm not.
One day during a snowstorm, I noticed that the TV station was frozen. Jackie, you'd like this. It was frozen on January books at Boynton Library. So we got a nice list of books they could research, but it was frozen. I had to go over and reset the server. And I left the TV on. I asked my wife, would you please keep an eye on it in case I need to call you and ask you something? And she did. And I was able to reset the server and came home, no problem. And she said, boy, those people in Templeton know everything. I said, what are you talking about? She said, I was watching all those slides and everything that you have there. And they've got mattress recycling information and textile recycling and all the senior center events. And Hannah's just been adding all this content, and, we keep getting it in, and or we keep finding it, and she's been doing a great job with it. We just need to find a way to leverage it, I think, more and get it out in the community with Facebook and other means. So great job, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, that's
Keep it up, and we're always finding
There's an avenue
stuff
for
that we-
teaching too.
that we have to do that. I apologize for the formatting. Something happened with the way it came out. So I don't usually put stuff in a listserv like that, but Montechusett TV workflows have been working on and been informative for what we want and a hire for that. So maybe a marketing or journalism person who wants to get started, maybe a Mount grad would be a nice person for that, or it could be a senior citizen job, somebody really interested in the area and arts and culture and music. Maybe we want to, help local musicians and others who, need to get the word out. So YouTube on TCTV web, we had about 10,000 views. That's pretty steady, 1,000 watch hours. We picked up subscribers and picking them up steadily since the fall, and meeting views have picked up significantly. I don't know if others have noticed on both YouTube and on Facebook on the reach. So I kind of attribute that to, we're doing a lot of different things like creating playlists. We have a playlist for capital improvements, for Laurel View Road issue, for Baldwinville School Housing Project, and others, and even NRSD, which films all their own stuff now. We can just take it and save it to our list. I think there was a basketball game they had on the other night. And the Facebook page, about 10,000 impressions. That's pretty steady. Impressions are your general universe, and 5,000 estimated reach they're more like unique visitors. So if Terry's a fan and she comes twice, she may only be counted once.
Oh,
But that's good for sponsors and advertisers to know, because advertisers especially look at your impressions, and I don't know how it rates, but I think to have half people returning is pretty good. So I'm encouraged by that. And we're going to have to do more engagement with that. We may start using YouTube has posts and polls available that we may start
want to do more with collector time because cabin fever is coming up. We have about 12 to 15 shows that we produced ourselves in addition to the meetings in the quarter. And I have a few typos that it says in quarter 3, that's quarter 2. I get confused with quarters. You should see me with dimes.
And we won't even talk.
I
next-
told my son I would get in a bad dad
There you
joke.
go.
And if for infrastructure on a serious matter, we've replaced 2 fiber transmitters in 2 years. Fiber transmitters what allows the TV station to go out on the fiber lines. Comcast is responsible for replacing them, but they're taking used transmitters from a closet. And it's a concern. I've addressed it in the budget going forward. So we shouldn't have to spend an exorbitant amount of money, but we may have to at some time.
Yeah, and you said those are end of production, so whatever has been produced.
Yeah, Comcast just isn't buying them anymore, so they're putting in fiber encoders,
Got it.
which is a different ball game. But they're contractually required to keep replacing them. Hopefully, we won't have to do it every year. We set up a little pop-up studio at Wachusett Business Incubator in Gardner. Hannah and the crew have been using that and getting it ready. We've had to put it off for a little bit while now, but we're hoping to get back to that. And we'll be doing some things with that we'll announce later. And I've been researching digital equity grants, which are complicated, but Mass Broadband and Mass Tech Collaborative are pushing about $50 million out the door. And some in various ways. So one of the things I think I discussed with Adam, we can get on a portal that I still have to go through and apply to have a digital equity report done by like a planning commission. And they may find that, we need better broadband. They may find gaps in it. It's really intended for the communities that still need high-speed internet. We're 99% covered, at least. It passes the houses. Right, but at least we may be able to find out more from that. And there are digital equity grants that overlap. We may be able to get the library wired to do, small conference type things with a meeting owl or something. We may be able to use some of that money to apply if we wanted to move the station broadcast location from its present location to Scout Hall, if we're ever in there. And I'm warming to that idea. It's been, it can be very costly to buy Comcast dedicated fiber line. But we are downhill from a dam. And I'm getting concerned about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we also talked with, WBI, the Mount, and even UMass Lowell, we had a conversation with about partnering on digital equity partnerships. There's all kinds of things going on. We'll see what we can come up with.
Who did you say? Lowell?
Yeah, UMass Lowell.
Oh, okay.
There's digital equity programs for partnerships in which an entity can become actually a grant administrator in about 6 different ways. And one of them is you can put Wi-Fi hotspots in affordable housing.
Ah,
And UMass Lowell wants to do this and create mesh networks in Haverhill, Lowell, Pittsburgh, and Gardner. So they contacted WBI about it. We talked to them and, we're still a small player. We're partnering with WBI and they want to partner with the Mount to become a bigger player to get the money. So we have to become grant politicians and try to land some money for that stuff.
interesting.
Yeah, your
Well,
report,
thanks.
Steve, your reports, you've got a lot of stuff queued up coming. Where you said actions for the 3rd quarter. So
Yeah.
busy.
Well, you just keep plugging away and I'll take the Weight Watchers philosophy of if you want to accomplish something, tell other people you're going to do it.
Yeah. There you go.
So there you go. Any questions?
No questions, general comment. At the municipal conference this past weekend, we had some previews of coming attractions with some of the statewide broadband issues. And as they say on the British television networks, watch this space for further developments. Some of it was kind of like, what are they talking about? Some was like, ooh, this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it'll
So-
be interesting.
So we'll see how it plays out.
If you hear anything, let me know because
Will
I'm
do.
perpetually confused and trying to
Yes.
find my way out of that. Thank you all.
Thank
you.
you.
Steve.
Jackie, your team has been quite busy.
They have, yep.
Anything to add? Or are we closing you out at this point?
I'm all set.
All set. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, item 5F. Second quarter finance report. Hello, Cheryl.
How you doing?
Justice, Luann, and we'll have Kelly co-presenting with you folks.
Yep.
Yep. Hi.
Hello.
Well, good evening, everybody. So can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So in the accountant's office this quarter, the main thing we have is the audit was completed for the town. We're just waiting on the water audit. It has to be included in our audit. So we've not received that from them. They're still waiting on their auditors. So as soon as we get that, then we can go back in the queue with the auditor to hopefully get our audit completed. So we're hoping to get that sooner than later. The later it goes, the farther down in the pile we go for completing the audit. Continue to train Nancy. She is just doing an amazing job of picking things up quickly and, just really appreciating that. The biggest thing that we've done is we are working with Paychex now that they are going to be our go-between for our insurance benefits. With the expanded technology, we will now be able to, when a person comes in and they're a new employee and they sign up for their benefits, that will be inputted into the Paychex system, and they will then have access to that going forward. They'll be able to see any kind of reports, any kind of claims, any of that sort of thing, and they can have an app on their phone that they can access their benefits at any time. In that, it will calculate what is due from those employees. So, we don't miss a deduction or anything, because that will be set up as a rule. When they come in, they'll know exactly what pay period to start their benefits. It's just going to be a valuable tool for everyone. We get a lot of questions about benefits, and, we will be able now to have all of that data out there for them, for the employees, so they can have access to that. So we're hoping to have that completed and rolled out by hopefully by the end of February. We're getting very close to having that done. So as soon as we get that last piece in place, then we'll be able to do that. So that'll be another great offering for our employees. So that's kind of the biggest thing that we've been working on. And then our regular, the deposits, payroll and vendor warrants. So for the expenditure trends this time, there's nothing that really stands out. A lot of it is just the same thing where we just had a one-time expense. So that, threw it over the 50%, and they're pretty self-explanatory there. The only thing, one of the things Mr. Bennett had requested is he didn't like the fact that we wouldn't be able to see the fund balance in the ambulance fund. So if in your expense report, if you go to page, let me get that for you. Should have already had it, sorry. If you go to page 5, you'll now see two lines that have been added. So you'll see the beginning remaining balance. So that's going to be your balance of the fund balance after the vote at town meeting of what money was remaining in the fund balance that was unappropriated. Then you're going to see the line that's going to be revenue that's been received in the fiscal year. So if you look now, the bottom line ending the 827,409.74, that is the current balance in the ambulance receipt reserve as of December 31st. So each month, as the revenue changes and expenses happen, when you get the report, you'll be able to see exactly what the fund balance is in the receipts reserve. So there won't be any questions. So that's an additional aspect to the budget versus actual that you'll be seeing. So that's really the only big change in the expense report. The revenue is doing okay. We're at 45%, which is a little under this time. And the reason probably that is I had decided to try to save some time and paper and those types of things and bill light and water and sewer their insurance benefits on a quarterly basis instead of a monthly basis. So when I sent out the first quarter report to Light and Water, they came back to me that they did not want that they wanted it on a monthly basis, and they would not pay that. So I had to go back and redo all of the months and get all of that completed. So that has all gone out to them. The first 6 months now, they have all of that, and we're just, waiting on payment. They have to go through their process just like we do. So that should, we've already gotten quite a few payments in January. So that will show, we should be all right on that. And then on the back page of the report, you'll see again the special article report, where I tell you kind of where we are with all the special articles of if they're closed, if they're still being worked on, just to kind of, and just giving you a progress report on those. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have. If you have any questions or anything for me before we move on to Luann.
I don't have any.
No.
I
Okay.
like the changes. Very nice.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Luann, your
Thanks.
last one with us.
I know.
Why isn't the list?
I'm still here.
I know.
Right, it even says that in the report.
We're still here working on, we're working on it, we'll let Justice do it next time, but. Second quarter for my office or our office is always a big numbers quarter for us. So, in October, we submitted and did our annual report to the board from the Board of Assessors. The ATB case that was settled with our office and ruled in our favor was now brought to the appeals court. So it's pending an appeals.
ATB.
Hmm?
ATB,
Appellate Tax Board.
got it.
So we were ruled in our favor last year, and the
That was
person
no-
could take another step forward, and now they brought it to the appeals board. It's gone through a couple different processes in the appeals board, and I was supposed to hear something on January 17th. So knock on wood, we've done and over with it, but
Right.
it's still ongoing. So we're just waiting to hear on that. Much of October was spent working on submitting stuff for the tax rate recap. Our classification hearing was held jointly with this Board of Selectmen in October. A single tax rate was voted again. The tax recap was completed and submitted to DOR, and on November 22nd, we got a tax rate approved of $12.92 this year. This was a decrease of $2.32 from last year's rate. As always, I tell you guys, if the tax rate goes down, that tells you that values in town went up substantially, and yes, they did. Not only this year did our property values in their residential or their houses and structures go up, but our land values went up over 25%. And that was a very conservative increase for land values. You'll probably see the land values in town going up again next year, again, another 25%. But we saw all the values in the houses going up. So the board kind of looked at it, and we only pushed land up a little this year. So people got hit all around, buildings, land. But fortunately, like we said, it was enough to drive the tax rate down too. So thanks to everybody on the finance teams. Tax rate went really well setting this year. Kelly did great. Cheryl helped out. Clerks, everybody that had to get their paperwork, you guys signing paperwork and doing the hearing went really good. So it's
Yep.
really nice. Justice got to be part of the whole thing. So hopefully moving forward next year, things will just continue on in a good flow.
Right, training wheels come off.
Yeah. And a good thing that made our third and fourth quarter tax bills go out on time. Everything was committed, and the export files were sent all over to the collector treasurer the beginning of December. So bills were all at the printing companies mid-December. So they were all out and ready to go in the mail. So that was good.
I had one thing, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Tax rates, property values. I've been watching the news. You probably have too. I know Lunenburg went through, we actually, when we were at the MMA conference, we're so well trained at this point, you know, for this process that reading all of these, they've had listening sessions where they've had to, you know, bring people in that were quite upset about, you know, huge increases or otherwise, but the reasons for it were, you know, the foot stomped all the way through that. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to walk us through it or otherwise, because people are going to start asking, you know, people will ask questions. They're all the same answers across the board, but it is nice knowing that ahead of time. But I'm pretty sure that you're watching the other communities and what they're going through.
Oh, yeah, Pittsburgh, Leominster, Lunenburg, Orange.
Yep.
And the thing, we're fortunate, I mean, I've been doing it for 14 years in our office, and what shows our confidence factor, I think, in our town is what people come in January to talk to us about and when they file for the abatements.
Right.
And it's a big subject when we go to our courses and our conference and stuff, and everyone says, oh, you know, what do you have for abatements? And our percentage rate for the confidence in our office is over 99.8%.
Well,
based on the abatements that we give out in town. Justice has seen firsthand, people coming into the office, most of the time, like you say, they just want an explanation.
exactly.
You know, if you know your properties and you can explain it to them, and they might not be happy that it went up.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're like, thank you. Now I understand what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just.
Not like you setting, you know, I think we'll
Yeah.
do it this way.
Listen, and I don't.
Town
wanna
needs
pick and
money.
choose, you know, pick and choose, and I'm gonna hit this whole side of the town because we need money. That's just, you know, it's
Right.
all across the board. We're very regulated. So like I say to those other towns, they had to answer to the state when they submitted all that stuff too.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
yeah, so we're very fortunate that, you know, the people are good and they respect us and we respect them.
Yep.
Which is nice.
Yep.
Thank you.
One takeaway I grabbed out of one of the finance sessions at the MMA conference, and Sean Cronin from DLR and DLS was really stomping his foot as he was presenting it. Most of the communities got everything in by the December 31st deadline to set tax rates. He wouldn't tell us the name, but there's one community pushes to have it submitted to the state the second week of November. That assures it will be done, and they have a 3 to 10 day window. They've been historically turning them in 5 to 6 days. That's a lot of work to do the audit. But the biggest takeaway is for the assessors, and I'm by no means throwing arrows, but if you have questions and you need help preparing it, call the contacts at the DLR, DLS. They will walk you through it.
And they do.
This
And-
is great.
And that's just what I've
Yep.
told Justice, pick up the phone. They're really good between legal and your just local account representatives. DOR is very good. They're there to help you get this set. Unfortunately, Argo and Templeton, mid-November, we're always in there with our tax rate
Yep.
because that's us too. Our goal is always try to get it set before Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
that way you can ground down running and get the bills out on time. So,
Both their side and when the person from the municipal law unit that reviews all of the other submissions and bylaws and everything else, you know, they were both really proud on the times they're turning it. When you look, they're doing this for 351 communities across the Commonwealth. Their workload's pretty high.
yeah, it's crazy. And we watch it day to day to see who's getting approved.
Yep.
So,
And just one other comment on that is that the DOR has started, you know, we used to have to send Excel spreadsheets, you know, and do the breakdown. They've now implemented where you put stuff in one form and it now automatically populates in another form that we used to have to do Excel. So they're really working on streamlining this process to make things easier for us, which is wonderful.
yeah, it's getting better and
Yep.
better with them. They're getting real good. With bills going out, we also processed over 165 exemption applications for residents in town. That would be veterans, blind people, widows, minor children. We did over 91,000. Also 15 senior work-off applications were processed this year for almost $7,000 more dollars. There's still, as I always tell everybody, there's still so many of you out there that have not applied for your exemption on your tax bill this year. You do have till April 1st to get your paperwork into our office. So if you did forget it and you got your tax bill, please come in with your paperwork. We'll go over everything and we'll get that process. You know, we want to get the money out to you, but unless you don't come in, you don't get it. So just reaching out to everybody out there again. This is our 7th year of our solar pilot. That's up on Farnsworth Road. That's a 20-year agreement we have with them. So that's moving along great. Motor vehicle commitment number 6 went out in November, which ended up making a total of $1.26 million in excise tax revenue this calendar year. So for calendar year 22, over $1.2 million in tax revenue for excise went out. And of that, 147,000 were abated, whether they've traded their cars or sold it or whatever, and they got credit. So again, over $1.1 million came into the town in revenue for excise. In October also, my board put on 1 new agricultural chapter land for 61A, 1 new recreational and 61B were approved. We did have 1 that wanted to go into 61A that they did deny. And I had 1 that we rolled off of the tax roll last year because they didn't process any of their paperwork. They came in this year and said, well, what do I do to get it back on? So he's back on track, and that's back in recreation. So that 1 is back on. So these will all be reflected in your FY24 values. Justice and I worked on the budgets and goals for the office, and we submitted that to the town administrator in December. Property visits have slowed down due to winter and cold weather setting in. Like Lori stated, building permits are crazy. I have a stack of work to get off my desk before I go, because that's the OCD in me and I am not leaving it. But so I'll be out working a lot. Fortunately, Tom comes out with me a lot and helps me do the new builds and construction. So it'll get done. We'll get it there. A lot of construction, which means pushes up our new growth. Adam's always happy to hear that from me. So that's what we're working on. In October, my Board of Assessors accepted Justice's resignation as my board member. And Steve LaFries was kind enough to step up and fill into the board. He's a previous assessor that has worked for us. So we reached out and he is taking the position until the May election. So thank you, Steve, for stepping up. My board interviewed for my position, and an offer was made to Justice, and he accepted the position. And Justice started training in my office mid-November. It's the board's hope that we have a smooth transition into the office, and we welcome Justice aboard. What else? The year end, a lot of paperwork got mailed out of our office for all our personal property in town, forms of list, all our tax exempt properties, which we have probably 12 group homes that are tax exempt, but they're required to file in our office every January. So everything went out to them. My values and everything in the computer systems have been updated to close out all the values for fiscal 23. So now anything going in is being put on fiscal 24. And I think that's about it for our second quarter. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah. I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, thank
Very,
you.
very comprehensive. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
All right, I'm gonna be quick. I guess I'm the only one that didn't work this quarter.
I find that hard to believe.
It was a typical quarter. I mean,
It's a
every
team
bill,
effort.
you know, the property tax, personal property, excise bills, every quarter, they go out, demands, warrants. So that was pretty much this quarter. We're trying to get the bills ready for third and fourth quarter. That went obviously very well. We mailed them out the last week of December. Just so everybody remembers, their third quarter is due Monday on the 1st. Wednesday. Sorry, thank you. Wednesday.
Monday's fine.
Yeah, come in early. Don't be late.
Rush.
We had 60 municipal lien requests during the quarter, and I attended a municipal law seminar that was in Holyoke. Mass Worcester County Treasurer Collector meeting. And that's about it. My numbers are below for everything. I don't usually read those. They're there for everyone. So it was fairly quiet for me. Well, usually this quarter is usually when I do the tax title work, but I got it done early, so it was in last quarter, so we were ahead of the game. So that kind of left this open for getting other things done in the office that
filing and stuff that could be done, so catching up. Yeah. Other than that, if anybody's got questions, it was quiet.
None?
None.
you.
Good.
Hey, good. Oh,
Thank you,
Thank
team.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, ladies. And
So just one comment. We are so excited to have Justice join our team, and we're looking forward to working with him. And we're very sad about Luann leaving, but boy, we're so excited for her to enjoy her retirement and spend time with her grandkids. So we just want to thank you, and we applaud her for the number of years that she's been with us and being a great part of our team.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cal.
Thanks, Kevin.
I'll let you go.
Thanks, team. Moving on. Action item 5G, accountant confirmation.
This evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have our accountant here. As you know, we've been doing quite well with our finances. Just the fact that not too long ago, we were working and we maintained our credit rating of AA3. We do anticipate in the future that we could be upgraded with the continued work, but a lot of work goes into that from the finance team. Not only that, but the accountant's responsible for a lot of reports that have to be submitted to the Department of Revenue, other agencies. We have stability, and quite frankly, I'm proceeding forward and recommending the confirmation of Kelly this evening. And that's all I have.
Thank you for that.
I've got a question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
You just, what we're doing is, it's just the appointment. How is that tied to employment agreement and otherwise? This evening, you just need appointment?
I make the appointment, the select board makes the confirmation for that appointment. And quite frankly, this will bring, I think, the balance of what the board was looking for and what the accountant was looking for. And it was really making it where we have that stability in our financial team.
Yep. I understand that part. We had talked, there was some request just to be a part of the employment agreement process. And I want to make sure that what you're asking for this evening is either linked to that. Or, there's more work to be done on that, and then we're just doing the appointment this evening.
So
Does that make sense to you, Tim?
So if I could just explain it, Tom
You
here.
do the appointment and then you wind up offering.
I basically, Tom Harrington, town council, and I had a discussion about this, and I explained what the board was looking for and what the accountant and based upon those discussions, the town council's recommended motion is in front of you this evening.
Okay.
Tom, did you want to add anything further to that? We discussed this.
Did my question make sense, Tom?
Oh, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
I'm sorry, Mike, could you ask it again?
So this evening, Adam's asking for the appointment that Kelly would need, not only within this year, but for the out years as well. We've had, per the agendas that we've had, I think it was maybe 2 meetings ago, we had an executive session. We haven't released those to the public. We've approved the minutes, didn't receive them. But I just want to make sure that I understand that there's an appointment which Adam is asking for tonight, and which the board has already, signaled favorably that we're going to accomplish this. But we had kind of some do outs for the town administrator in terms of employment agreement conditions and otherwise. I just want to understand, is that linked to what we're doing tonight, or is it separate? Is that like a follow-on action once we make the appointment?
It's my understanding that it's separate and a follow-on action.
Okay,
I don't have the motion in front of me. It doesn't indicate, there isn't a contract attached, correct?
there is not.
Correct.
You completely answered my question. Mr. Chair,
Mr. Rice,
I would move to confirm the appointment of Kelly Pomprion as the town accountant for fiscal year 2024 and to conditionally confirm Ms. Pomprion as the town accountant for fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year 2026 based on satisfactory performance.
Second that motion?
motion and a second. Any discussions, team? Second call, any discussions? Hearing none, I'll bring that to a vote. Ms. Richard? Believe you're
Actually,
on-
I had my hand, I did have my hand up for discussion, but I don't think you caught that, Tim, but that's
I did
fine.
not.
I do want to thank Mike for clarifying that with legal that, so this is not contractual. We haven't signed a contract. That is a total separate situation,
Correct.
correct?
Yeah, Julie, I just wanted to make sure that in our discussion, there were a couple do outs that I'm sure that Adam can provide some feedback in due time. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't putting the cart in front of the horse, and we are not. I'm pretty happy with the process so far, and I'm happy that we're able to extend the appointment to Kelly. So that's great.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. I wanted to make sure I was clear on that as well. I would have probably asked the same question. So yes, my vote is yes.
Thank you for that. Ms. Griffiths.
Yes,
Mr. Curry.
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you, team.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Before Tom jumps off, Tom, I just happened to notice, I wanted to say thank you for your donation to the Templeton Food Pantry and your company's wishes for a happy holiday season to the select board and town employees. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and say thank you.
My pleasure. But I think you're stuck with me for another agenda item.
Okay, well, hey,
At least one that I'm aware of.
Kelly's staying on for Worcester Regional.
Got it.
Okay, on to item 5H. Action regarding release of a lien, 871 Patriots Road. We have Mr. Sanborn here with us as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I was contacted by Attorney Kimball of Orange in late December, just before the Christmas holiday, about seeking a release for the property at 871 Patriots. It had been assisted through the housing rehab program approximately 10 years ago. The property was foreclosed on in 2019, I believe. And so it was subsequently, he was representing the purchasing party that was intending to have a closing at the beginning of January. So he just wanted to get a release of that housing rehab program lien, even though he said simultaneously that the foreclosure extinguished that lien. But I'm assuming he wanted this as sort of a belts and suspenders action to make sure that the title is absolutely clear. We had hoped to get this on the agenda for your prior meeting, but because of a scheduling glitch, it did not happen. So it's here tonight before you. I will say they went ahead and closed on this property on January 12th. So I think that town council, we sought his opinion and advice a few days ago. And if I understood it correctly, he feels that no action is necessary or warranted on the part of the board. I don't want to, he's here so he can speak for himself. The secondary issue to this and that this matter came up as part of the municipal lien certificate check. And these housing rehab program liens are not municipal liens. Typically, when there's a proposed closing, any such lien like this is identified through a title search that either the lender or the purchaser's attorney does prior to a closing. So they should not be listed as a municipal lien because they were a voluntary transaction between the owner or the recipient of housing rehab program funds and the town. So in essence, the town is a lender. This is a loan, which is repaid within the terms of the program policies. So with that, I guess I'll turn it over to Attorney Harrington if he wants to add anything more.
Mr. Chair, okay?
Yep, go ahead, Tom.
So thank you, Peter. And I think Peter more or less accurately reflected my opinion. So what we have here is the town lent, I'm forgetting the amount, approximately $30,000 maybe?
19,000.
I'm sorry.
A little under 20.
Yep, 19.6 to the property owners at the subject address. We weren't paid off. So technically the way this works is you can have several mortgages on your property, and there's one mortgage that is considered the senior or primary mortgage. And in this case, when the town lent the money, we were a third mortgagee and then became a second mortgagee halfway through. When they foreclosed on the first mortgage, I believe the outstanding amount was 176 and they got 177. There may have been some extra in there. I don't know because the details aren't on the registry's website, but presumably all the money was needed to pay off the first mortgage. So we're stuck in the event that when the first mortgage uses all the money to pay itself off, our lien is then wiped out. So we, the attachment goes against the deed, but it is wiped out. But that doesn't mean he doesn't, or the property owners still don't owe us the money. So I had two issues. One, I didn't think we should be releasing or signing a release of a lien for which we weren't paid, because if we chose to, we could still go after them in contract. We could take them to Superior Court, say, we have a contract with you and you owe us 19.6. Attorney Kimball is correct that the lien gets wiped out. So when the new owners take it, they have a clean title. They will no longer see our lien against their property. So I didn't see the need to provide them with anything. And he acknowledged as much in his email. And he went ahead and closed anyways. So you can issue this release. I don't think you need to. And if it was your wish to issue this release, I'd want to edit it to make sure it's clear that we haven't received the money, so that while the registry lien may be removed, the debt still remains.
Thank you for that, Tom.
Lien, do you want to?
No, everyone.
Well,
You want to come up to the? You just want to make sure that Tom and Peter can hear you.
Please,
Yes.
please, I've been watching you two. It's like, wow.
so when you were under the impression, when the money was given out to the person, I know it's not a municipal lien because it's not for a betterment or anything like that.
Right.
But it is a improvement to the property, and the lien was put on the property. When we put liens on properties, we don't put it on the people's names. We put those liens on the actual property. So because that was an improvement to the property, it's going to stay on the property until it's taken care of. And
So not
I don't
in this,
understand.
yeah, not in this case, because it wasn't it's not a betterment. This is a program that we choose to participate in, to lend money to homeowners.
Yeah.
And when there's more than one mortgage and the first mortgage wipes out the debt, it wipes out our lien against the property. So we don't have a lien against the property. We do have, we can seek to collect the debt in civil court, but we no longer have a lien against the property. That lien got wiped out when they foreclosed on the first mortgage.
But that lien was filed on the property lien agreement. So I
Yep.
guess I have a real issue because, okay, this property was owned by the
Jesu Conus.
Yeah, thank you, Jesu Conus's. The bank foreclosed on them to Federal National Mortgage.
Mhm.
Federal National Mortgage called the town and asked us for a municipal lien certificate.
Mhm.
We gave that to them, to the assessed owner. That at the bottom, this property also has a CDBG loan, and please contact us for the payoff agreements. So now we're stuck giving out this money to people, and this isn't the first one that the town's given the money or forgiven it. I mean, it's getting to the point we're giving these loans out and we're not getting any money back on them.
Yeah.
So Federal Mortgage turned around. They had to buy back the mortgage because any mortgage, in a foreclosure, they're not going to sell to a bidder unless they're going to give you exactly what's owed on the balance of that mortgage, which was the 177,313.
It's a rigged system.
Right. And then they turn around and sold this property for $417,000. They made a profit of almost $250,000 on this house. And we're still walking away, not getting our $19,750. I don't understand how
So
we
this
can
is-
do that.
This is new information, Luann.
Thank you.
So I wasn't aware of that, of the sale price in excess of the foreclosure. I think it's, so let me take a step back. I think it's worth,
Looking into.
yeah.
Thank you. We just, like I say, I had actually the mortgage company call me right before the sale went because they were complaining because after they did a total rehab on the building and I assessed them at a renovation price, they were questioning why I was assessing them at $410,000. And I said, well, number one, you just sold it for 420, but you just put it on the market for over $499,000.
Mhm.
And after I explained all the work that was done on the property, then she said, oh, okay, I can see where you're coming from.
Right.
Not knowing anything until I just talked to my collector treasurer and I saw this, we only saw it on the agenda because we were all coming into this
Right.
meeting tonight for our reports. So I
Right.
mean, it's too bad because it's been an issue with other CDBG loans. And now
Right.
we're going out to start a whole new project in town with CDBG loans, but you're gonna have to get better guidelines because the town at the end is just losing this money.
Right.
We're not
Yeah.
getting it back, and it's a few
So-
have been forgiven, and we've lost a lot of money on these loans.
Right. So I do think it's worth a little effort. But let me tell you the way I think this probably played out, so that the mortgage company didn't buy it back through its name. It created a shell company to buy it back so that it was a arm's length transaction. And so we're going to have to get a little creative to see if we can get this money out of them going forward. But I still think it's worth the effort. That's a pretty good profit on this foreclosure. Going forward, we may consider how much debt is against the house before we make the loan.
Yeah, it's a good option, because like I say, we're getting ready to start up a new whole CDBG grant again. And it should be.
So I have a question. In the scenario that that Peter and Tom gave to us, the logical, if we were going to go after, like you said, the lien was extinguished, that's when you said,
Right.
in the beginning, you said the lien was extinguished, but not the debt. And for us to recover that approximately 19,000, it sounded like we were going to have to go after the people, not
Yes.
the property,
Correct.
the Jasuconis.
Yes.
But
We have
which
so
wouldn't make
yeah,
sense if they foreclosed,
Yeah,
to
they
go
lost
after
their
them.
house, yeah.
Right, they lost it. They lost 177 or whatever they had. equity that they had in it, if anything.
Right, but our deal with them wasn't based on their equity. What we said, and this is
It was time
without
phased,
having
right? You got to
reviewed
stay.
the documents. Yeah, we said, here, we're going to lend you $19,600. You're going to sign a promissory note
Yep.
where you promise to pay us back. And in
If they
case you
leave within-
don't, what's that?
If they leave within, I think it's, Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, they have 50, if they stay there for 15 years,
Yes.
then the debt goes away.
Right.
But if they leave prior to that, and these are the things that the ones that we've seen the most are someone winds up changing their situation and they're trying to,
Steve died.
right, they'll try and sell the property and they're selling an improved property that we improved.
Yeah.
And we're saying you got to pay us back because you didn't really, you didn't stay in there for 15 years.
Right.
So in this case, it foreclosed. And I guess the question was, is the debt on the people or on the property? Because if it is on the property, definitely, I think we should table this and figure out what we can do to try and understand that they received an improved property. And therefore, if they're going to then sell it, they have to give us the money back.
Right. So it's two different instances here, Mike. So in instance one with the property owners, they didn't get any of the money, presumably, right? So the foreclosure happened, they got zero, but they still have a promissory note with us to pay us the 19.6.
Right.
So that debt goes against them personally, not the property.
Oh, no.
The second part is the mortgage company. And so while I can't say that I'm optimistic, I do think it is worth an effort to talk to this mortgage company and say, you rigged this, you paid 177 on a 176 mortgage and turned around in short order and sold that, making 200,000 plus profit.
Right.
We think that was deceptive, and we would like to collect what we were owed under that. You should pay the second mortgage, which was us at the time. And again, I'm not saying this is a slam dunk case.
Right.
But there's enough of a delta there between what they foreclosed on and what they sold it for. And it sounds like it happened in short order, that it's worth rattling some chains.
Yeah. Just from a reasonable person standard, we can see what was done. And it would be interesting to have the conversation and then whatever recommendation it would be to take this to land court to get that back. I don't know if that's where.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the path we want to take, but
Yeah.
I want to look into it a little bit because I think we all agree this one stinks.
Yep.
Well, Mr. Jasakunas passed away, and that was Lorraine's son, and she's disabled.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
That's
going,
part of the
I wouldn't
picture.
advocate for going after the money from them.
Okay.
They already
The bank.
they already lost their property and the mortgage.
Right.
And I know we've had a couple of these situations, and it does come down to the board to be able to make these decisions. In this case, no, it seems like the mortgage company, someone made out with a lot of money and they owed us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They owed us a very simple, a drop in the bucket based
Yep.
on their profit.
Yes.
Do you need a motion to table it, or can we just?
Peter, you get your hand up.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I might have misunderstood the communication from Attorney Kimball. But my understanding was that this property was being sold for 177. So not for 400,000.
That's what I understood. Yeah, I guess I kind of understood that as well. I thought it was.
If I had
They foreclosed on that amount and then
if
the
I
bank had the
if I had
property.
thought
and
it was
we were like,
a
what are we
far
gonna do? with it?
higher amount, then I would have suggested that you kick this over to town council to
Okay.
recommendation.
Thank you for that, Peter. Yeah, I'm just looking at this, the communications we have in the packet, with Attorney Kimball saying they have no lien, yet we have documentation. We do indeed have a lien. And as Attorney Harrington has said, this is new information. So
Yeah.
I think we need to take the deeper dive on this.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Weiss.
I move to table the release of lien for 8871 Patriots Road until a time specified by the town administrator.
Second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to table this. Any further discussions, team? Second call, any further discussions? Hearing none, I will bring this to a vote. Ms. Richard? Looks like she froze up.
Yes.
Thank you. It's cold outside. The screen froze.
It is, I just keep freezing up, sorry.
Ms.
Give us
Griffin?
a thumbs up.
Yes.
Mr. Curry?
Yes.
I vote yes as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peter, thank you. Tom, thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Good to see you all. Good night, everybody.
good night.
Night.
Good night.
Moving right along. 5I, Worcester Regional Retirement.
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna have the accountant take this. She actually had a conversation with the Chief Executive Officer at Worcester Regional, so she wanted to update the board on this. So Kelly, if you can take this.
Okay. So I spoke with Mike Sacco today, and this is the situation with this. So the governor signed this, the chapter 269 of Acts of 2022. And what that is that the retirement would give a 2% increased cost of living to the retirees. So the governor signed it into law, and then each retirement system needed to have their board review it and sign it. So at the December meeting, the Worcester Regional Retirement System voted that. Now, this is the situation. Between then and June 30th of 2023, the member units, their boards have to decide if they're going to vote to approve this. So it is up to the boards to determine if this is going to happen. They need 34 of the member units to vote yes on this. So if you vote yes for this, you're going to be included in one of the 34 member units. If they don't receive 34 member units, then it's not going to happen. So if it at this point, it's basically, if you agree with this, then you would vote yes. If you don't want to do 2% increases to the retirees, then you would vote no. He said for Templeton, it's not going to affect us that much. And it won't affect us in our budget until fiscal 2026. Because they've already given us our 24 and 25 is already in the works. So this 2% wouldn't happen. Now on June 30th, or whenever they would get the 34 member units voting yes, they would then give the retirees the 2% increase as a retro to 7/1/2022. So he said, let's say April 30th, they finally have all the votes from the member units. If they have 34 that have agreed, the retirees will then get that 2% retroactive, and then that would be affected on our assessment that we would get from them for fiscal 2026. So basically the board is voting, do you want to provide the 2% COLA increase to the retirees? You would vote yes for this. If you vote no, that means you would not want to provide the 2% increase to the retirees. So that's what you're voting for. But if you, at this point, you would be part of that 34 or you're not. But let's say you vote no for this and they get 34 of the other members, then it would be a yes for us also.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I move to approve the additional 2% cost of living adjustment as authorized by chapter 269 of the Acts of 2022 and also approved and recommended by the Worcester Regional Retirement Board.
Have a motion. Have a motion and a duly made second. Any discussions, team?
I would say that, I mean, across the board, there are federal, state, there are a lot of cost of living adjustments that are occurring. I'm a federal retiree. They've done the same thing, in many cases higher than that. So I think 2%, as Kelly briefed us, I think that is a reasonable increase in COLA. So I do endorse that. I do.
But it doesn't get assessed in the budget till 2026? It's.
That's what it says in
They've
the
given us
packet.
the 24 and
Then it'll
25.
be
It's-
retroactive?
It would,
2020.
it would be in our assessment.
Do you know the bottom
You know,
line?
it's the cost of being a town and having employees. And we want to treat our retirees with, with respect, inflation or otherwise, you have to do it. You can't be stagnant with your employees. You have to support them. I realize that's tough. It's always one of our financial team's biggest headaches is trying to chase our Maya numbers, trying to chase our Worcester County retirement numbers. I've memorized that graph. What is the date? 2036?
2036.
2036. Let's get there. Until that time, that's
can't-
when our costs
Yeah, they
drop off.
drop off the cliff.
And it's only on, so just to clarify for the public too, it's only on the first 16,000. So after that, it doesn't, they don't. it doesn't-
They had me at COLA.
Yeah,
Roughly, I think it's about $16,000.
yeah,
Because I was at the meeting last week and they went over this whole thing. So based on our numbers, it's roughly 16,000.
okay.
Yeah, and there was another, the Public Employee Retirement Administration Commission talked about 5%. So we got, we're getting somewhere.
Yep.
And they settled on 2. And I think that's reasonable.
Well, they dotted all their i's and they put it all out, so.
Yep.
They do. There was a lot of information. Kelly, thank you for explaining that.
You're welcome.
Any further discussions, teams? Hearing none, let's bring this to a vote. Julie,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
I vote yes as well.
We go, then.
Pays for right time.
Bob, you're quick.
I have them. The motions that I've been making, Jackie, I did write them down. I'll give you the sheet of paper afterwards.
Good.
Oh, you've been,
I've been.
Oh,
trying to
okay.
keep up.
awesome.
Yours will be
Nice.
helpful.
Look at that, Holly, huh? I usually have to hand them over to Holly or email them to her. Sorry.
Next up,
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
thank you,
Thank
Kelly.
you,
Thanks, Kelly.
Kelly. Good work.
Holly.
Appreciate it.
Next up, action item 5J is in Juliet, a snow date, February 15th for our February 8th board meeting.
There's a hearing in there, right?
There is a public hearing in there, and this is required by the legislation, the way we post the notice to put out the hearing date with a snow date. And the TA and I had a pretty lengthy discussion on this because we have alternative means, even if it snows, like tonight, we have folks participating via Zoom.
Yep.
We can still hold the meeting.
Yeah, better to have it.
OML guidance, but this public hearing falls under some other guidance. So this is a formality, dotting the i's.
Yeah, it
crossing
doesn't
the
cost
t's.
us anything.
Correct.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Mike.
I move to approve the snow date of February 15th, 2023 for the February 8th board meeting in the event of a snow event.
Second,
Have a motion made and seconded. Any discussions, team? Second call, any discussions? Hearing none, we will bring this to a vote. Julie,
Yes.
Harry,
yes.
Mike?
Yep.
I vote yes as well. Thank you. Action item 5K is in kilo. Adam, anything you'd like to add on this one? Besides beyond what's in our packet?
I think right here, I talked with Carol Harris about this and I think we're fortunate to have a really good town clerk. She was aware I was bringing it to the board because you're all elected, she's elected, and I think the board wants to designate somebody to work with me so we could submit her name for the 2023 town clerk of the year. And she knows it's in the packet, that we had a conversation before I put it in.
I don't mind.
You can do it or I can take it.
Yeah, sure. I'll do it.
You did the report.
And I talked to, I thought, all right, let's just get, I talked with that, Adam, we'll get some bullets and otherwise she can help out, right? It's like doing your own, not doing your own evaluation, but you always have some contributions. That way we don't miss anything.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And I do also want to recognize the fact that our town clerk has done a lot of initiatives since I've been the town administrator with just collecting the receipts of the open meeting law, the ethics certification forms, keeping an inventory of all that, which has been tremendously helpful in the operations of appointments of not only just elected officials, but appointed officials. So and town employees. She's done a lot of good work. And I'm thankful for working with a department head like Carol to do just one aspect of all the other work that she does.
Who would the nomination come from? Would it come from TA, Board of Selectmen?
Said a lot.
You and I,
That's what I was thinking.
okay? I just want to be clear.
Says TA, town manager, select board.
Yep.
I mean, I think it's good having the elected body with the appointed
Yeah.
official submitting the nomination.
I don't want to nominate myself. Do you want to take care of the
Sure.
motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to submit the nomination of Carol Harris and designate Michael Curry to work with the town administrator on submission of nomination.
Second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussions, team? Second,
Yep, March 21st. We got to have it done. That's plenty of time to do that. So we can work on that.
any further discussions? Hearing none, we will bring this to a vote. Julie,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you for that, team.
Night,
See you later. Thank you.
safe travels.
Action item 5L, Lima. Award of the 10 Pleasant Street bid package.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be amazing.
So following the mass procurements, the bid package did go out. The opening was today, correct, Adam?
Yes, at 2 p.m.
Okay, 2 p.m. today. There were 10
Ooh,
bids received.
wow.
They were all over the place in dollar amounts. The lowest was 70,700. The highest that came in was 144 even. So utilizing the procurement process, chapter 146, I believe, or 149. It's under chapter 30B, but there's a subsection.
For vertical and horizontal.
Because it's, yeah, because it's the vertical horizontal. So it makes a little bit of a change to it.
Wow, there's quite a difference between the estimated cost and the actual.
Yes.
bid. Oof.
And the biggest concern we had was if it surpass what we have in the current account, because then it gets into a bunch of other supplemental appropriations and more and more and more paperwork. So this was a breath of fresh air.
So like you say, we had a very good turnout and all the bids come in, like you see, quite a price difference. I mean,
Yep.
great news for Templeton with a pricing that low. But now once we finalize and give the job to the company out of Springfield, we can start lining up the asbestos removal. Once that's done, it will be re-cleared by the person that we did the appraisal with, which that fee the town will be responsible for $300. Once that's cleared, then we can move into the demolition part and organize with water and sewer and check with the light department as far as disconnections and capping, and we'll be good to go to remove it.
Been a long time coming.
So gonna be nice to have that cleaned up.
Yes.
I don't know what the intentions are with the town after that. I would assume that they would try to put it on the market and sell it. And my opinion would be, I'm sure it will sell. But take that money and put it right back in the demolition account and you should have enough to do another one.
That's good. Mr. Chair,
Mr. Vice.
I move to award the contract to the apparent lowest bidder, Associated Building Wreckers of Springfield, Massachusetts, and for the town administrator to sign.
Second.
Have a motion, multiple seconds. Any discussion, team?
Do you know the company at all?
Not at all, no.
Okay.
We'll make sure once they get started, they're following all the guidelines and
Yeah, no kidding.
procedures and do a good job and to our standards, so.
Absolutely.
But like if I can, Mr. Chair, like you mentioned already, I was amazed at how many people actually put in a sealed bid. Was a lot of interest for this. I think between since I've been here, this is one of probably the more active bid packages I've put out outside of the roofing projects. So it's certainly I mean, you could just look at the addendum. I mean, just all the questions that were coming in and keeping track of everything. Because if you answer a question to somebody else, you have to keep that documented. That way you're relaying that in the addendum, so it's fair for all bidders. So there was a lot of interest, and it was quite a bit of time, because you have to keep track of everything, make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's and following all the mass procurement law in its standards. Bob was helpful, the other departments, so I do want to recognize their work as well. It really is a team approach. This board has a priority on addressing problem properties, starting from when we submitted that special legislation through town meeting. So we've come a long way from when we've started getting these from when we acquired the property through tax title. A lot of residents don't realize that the town, they think we've had it for 10 years. Well, that's certainly not true. Or 12 years. That's not the case. The town acquired this probably roughly, maybe at the most 3 years ago, give or take. We tried to sell the property. Nobody bid on that.
Twice.
Yeah, a lot of questions.
So I think this will be a good thing, and I do certainly feel that the residents will certainly realize that they were heard at the last town meeting. We've taken the appropriate actions since the governor signed off on that special legislation. And now with this demo revolving fund and the fact that we had town meeting appropriated $150,000 and the bid came in so low, like Bob mentioned too, we'll still have funds available to address all the problem properties in town. So stay tuned. You'll start seeing your town improve a little bit each and every single year. You'll start seeing those improvements, and we have certainly done a lot of work to get to this point. I think that was a collaborative approach between the select board and administration and department heads. So I think Lori's probably the happiest. Right?
Mr. Chair. I just also like to point out, you and I went out for the Mass Municipal Association Conference, and part of that is a trade show. And I really appreciate Bob coming out you were out there Friday, right? Bob came out for Friday, and just so for everyone to know, the trade show has all of these companies have booths and otherwise, and you go around and you shake their hands, get to know them. And that's the key to this, is because you start to see some of these companies out there and you can talk to them and tell them, hey, we might have something coming up, look for this bid, and they start to form those relationships. So it's an excellent trade show, hundreds of booths. I mean, it took us, you're not going there for primarily the trade show, but it's certainly something to add in there. But I really like to say thank you to Bob, because I mean, I went through and I'm like, hey, my DPW guy's here. I'll bring him over and you can talk to this construction group or otherwise. So it was really beneficial for exactly this kind of purpose.
That trade show floor was so large at one point, Mike and I split our forces, divide and conquer. He started on one side, I started the other. We worked our way to the middle. There's no way you were going to get to everything that was there.
Yep.
In the
And
amount
all
of
of our-
time that we
yep.
had.
Our town council had a booth out there, so we stopped by, say thank you, see the rest of the team. Mr. Roselli was out there with his team. You basically get out there and see how many other legal firms are out there and realize you've got a really good one. So again, the trade show really beneficial for things like 10 Pleasant. We really start to build those relationships and see the companies that are out
Yeah,
there.
we get different engineers, architects, all different kinds of recycling people. I mean, it's very informative.
Yep.
It was.
And kudos to Jeff. He's been
He's
working toward
been
this.
pushing this and pushing
Yeah,
this,
he's been
and we're finally getting it closer to the finish line.
Gotta bring him in.
Yay. Boy, he's like, yes. You don't need to curb your enthusiasm. It's good. Any further discussions, team? Hearing none, let's bring this to a vote. Julie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Terry?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you, team.
Thanks, Bob.
Oh, you're welcome.
Moving right along, action item 5M, accepting donation to the senior center.
Beautiful.
We have in our package letter dated January 18th, thank you, Jackie Prime. Consider voting to accept following donations. Robert and Patricia Gale, $35, donations totaling $180 in memory of Leona DeGrace, who passed away recently.
Isn't that beautiful?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Rice,
I move to accept the donations as presented.
Second.
have a motion and a second. Any discussions? Steve?
I know we see them a lot, so, again, thank you to the Gales.
Yes. I would just add a brief general comment. The amount of donations we see coming into our senior center is just absolutely a breath of fresh air. And we do see the support of the community and the community members acknowledging the importance of having our senior community center. It's a wonderful, wonderful venture. Any other discussions, team?
I know Jeff would say the same thing. He's usually pretty outspoken saying thank you to them. So I know he's thinking about that whenever he watches the meeting or if he's listening to it right now. Nothing else.
Any further discussions? Let's bring this one to a vote. Julie?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you, team. Item 5N, a letter to the first CP 29 Main Street LLC regarding operations of the Red Onion. So we have in our packet D&M Investments out of Gardner. With the town recently learning the passing of Kenneth Bazell Jr., our sincere condolences. We're writing requests concerning the liquor license of the First CP 29 Main Street LLC, DBA, the Otter River Hotel, 29 Main Street, Otter River. We are the local licensing authority and we are responsible for each of the liquor licenses maintained according to the laws. Holly, anything you'd like to add on this?
Yeah, I just want to kind of give you the backstory.
Yep.
We learned of Mr. Buzzell's passing, I believe it was last week. I reached out to the ABCC to find out how that works with the license. And they suggested that I reach out and contact them. I guess they don't just, immediately try to yank it away. They try to work with people, make sure that someone under the LLC is going to be working with them or find out what's going on. That's why they suggested to do this. There is a potential purchaser that has been working with Mr. Buzzell for a few months. And him and his lawyer are working on doing the transfer or a new license. And as soon as possible. So hopefully they can keep this going and get the transfer done.
This is a different twist of the corkscrew, pardon the pun, but not the same as when we transition an owner or a member of a club, but when we have a death of a member, it changes the game considerably. But again, dotting the i's, crossing the t's, making sure we do this correctly to protect the interests of all the parties.
Who is the registered agent?
The registered agent is this Doreen Her of D&M Investments, and she's listed
Okay.
as the,
And so this letter would basically say what's going on,
what's going on, let us know how you're planning to proceed.
right?
And I do have the contact information for the potential purchaser and his attorney, so I'm gonna be talking with them and keeping an eye
Okay.
on what's going on. as well.
Right. It's kind of like it energizes the process or it, puts the energy in it where they were like, oh, yeah, I come to the town of Templeton, I come to Holly to request a change, a transfer.
Mr. Chair. So, did you know that back in, I think it was mid to late December that the ownership of the property had changed? A deed did get filed in the registry.
I did not know that.
Yeah, 34 and 29 Main Street, there is a new owner of record, so.
Okay, can I get that information?
Yep, I can get you that information, yeah. We just have their mailing address and stuff. It might be the same person that they had suggested, but yeah, we can give
That makes
information,
sense.
yeah.
So he may have bought the property first and then he was working on buying. the
Yeah,
license.
that's.
It was all in
Yeah,
process prior to Kenny.
yeah.
That's even more encouraging though, because it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when they can get it processed.
And we actually, I can give you his contact information.
Okay.
I have another question. I think continuity wise, the business is still the same. Like it didn't change a name. The servers are still there. That's the same servers, manager. Can I assume that?
I believe so. I will.
Just ownership has changed, but the infrastructure there. It's still, if you were going to that place, you'd still see the same faces behind the bar and otherwise.
Yes.
There is no change of use. Prior to Kenny's accident, this was going on and the new property owner had come in and talked with the zoning enforcement officer about relicensing,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And there was no change of use, so.
From the licensing authority's perspective, we always ask questions like that are protecting the public. Are you being, are they being good stewards, serving alcohol and otherwise? And I think that's really the approach that I take. So administratively, looks like we have a way forward, but business wise, they haven't skipped a beat. They're still operating the way that they pledged to us in the first place.
Right, and in
Safely.
fact, the potential new owner has been working with Ken
Mhm.
for months.
Yep.
He was trying to do the relicensing, and I'm like, sorry, I have to work with the, owner and manager of record. So he did talk to me a little bit, And Chief Bennett also let us know that he's been making a lot of improvements.
Yeah,
It's looking great.
I heard
Business
that.
is Up and a lot less, you know, if there's any issue, has been any issues in the past, those are gone. So,
It's good.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, I don't have any further questions. You still want this letter, though?
yeah, we
Yes.
need to.
Okay.
Any further discussions, team?
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I move to approve sending the letter to the registered agent for First CP 29 Main Street LLC as presented and for the board to sign.
Second. Oh, sorry, June.
Motion and a second. Any discussions, team? Second call, any discussions? Hearing none, we'll bring this to a vote. Julie,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Thank you for that. Okay, moving us right along. Brings us up to old business, item 6A, a scout hall update, at the request of board member Richard.
I did have a discussion today with board member Julie Richard. We just actually received from the Department of Labor Standards the license for the person that was the apparent lowest bidder and that was awarded by this board to do the de-letting work. Work should be starting, I believe, this week or the following week.
He hasn't reached out to me yet. I emailed him today. And once I will see it here this week, but he only has 2 or 3 days work. That I'm sure will be reaching out once we get cleared. Back to Money Tech to see if they're interested in continuing on from where we left off.
So at the very least, it would be next week. And it took forever to get the license. That was the holdup. But we finally received that. In addition, I've sent an email out to the director of vocational for Monty Tech about the resubmittal of the Scout Hall project. So hopefully everything lines up where everything gets de-letted. The original inspector comes back, tests it, everything's good. And then I send that documentation off to Monty Tech and hopefully we could get them in there and finally complete this project. I
Amen.
mean, we've been waiting a long time. I understand why Julie's getting frustrated. But we were too. I mean, it took forever. It seemed like for the contractor, get us all the materials. So hopeful that, I know a lot of people want to see this done and I know even Bob comes in and asks me where we're at with it. So it just was a lot of the requirements that we needed to fulfill. And licensing was one of those things that we needed before they could go in there and do the work. But Bob's, I think, mentioned 2-3 days worth of work.
Yeah. But yeah, man.
So that's my update on Scout Hall.
Very good. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Julie, any questions?
Just one for Bob. What would be the next step, Bob? I know that we have funding continues to sit in the bank to finalize this project. Once we get this person and this contractor in and they're done and they're out, do you have another thought
Yeah, after he gets,
on what your next step would be?
Bob, I'm not sure if Julie could hear you. Could you? Yeah. Thanks.
I'm sorry, Julie, after we get the de-letting done, it's just like the asbestos, it has to get re-cleared. And once we get the thumbs up, then we can move forward as far as reaching out to Monty Tech to see if they have an interest of doing the cabinets, the floors, the walls, etc. The bathroom. If they do not want to do it, we already put it out to bid once, so if it's under, if we break the electrical up just like the way the plumbing, I think we can get 3 quotes per each job that needs to finish it. And yes, we plan on using the funds for that to finish it up.
Well, and if I could just jump in for a second here. So the way the purchasing would work is, let's say Monty Tech was able to do certain sections. and they were able to do X amount of dollars. And let's say they weren't able to do like the hardwood floors, and the hardwood floors, we have an estimate of, I don't know, let's say 5,000. Bob saying he would get just the quotes for that portion of the work, and then all the whole thing, you don't have to bid out as a whole package because Monty Tech's doing the rest of the other work. And then it would just be that last section of whatever that might be, the hardwood floors, or, but if it goes over that 10,000 threshold, you have to go through the whole advertising and all the other through mass procurement laws. I just wanted to chime in and kind of mention that aspect.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that, Adam. We were actually in the process of that when our committee dissolved, unfortunately. So this is really good news for our scouts in town. And once again, this is historical building that was our first school for all 4 precincts. And once again, our scouts would like it back. I think it would be a fantastic
I didn't know that it was.
see this building come back alive for that. So yeah, it was the first schoolhouse. It's pretty cool. So that's awesome, Bob. I want to thank you very much for jumping back onto this and seeing that we try to get this town-owned building finished up so it can be utilized once again. My kudos to you for this. I know it's been a frustration. There's been a lot of opinions out there. But I think to see this project come to a completion and for it to be utilized for our youth again and use up, the monies that were granted to us at town meetings, that would be.
Thank you.
Any further discussions, team?
Just kudos to Julie for hanging in there and seeing it through. Appreciate it, Julie.
Hearing none, let's bring this to a vote. Julie?
Yes.
There was no motion.
Oh, no motion. I apologize. Just an update.
It's been a long night.
Moving ahead.
We just really want it done.
Yes. Thank you for that. That brings us up to the closing. Board member, administrator comments and reports. Adam, anything to add?
I think we covered pretty much, all the items. I really don't have anything further to add. Thank you.
Holly? No. Julie?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Terry?
Just got a couple bullets. I wanted to say thank you to Jeff. He had sent me a forward 3 webinars from 10 to noon on climate change. The first one was how to discuss it without putting the fear of God in people, because it is something that's happening and it's noteworthy to talk about. So that was last week. And they have, some towns form little committees on that, but I just want to be brief. So today was the fact that the oceans on our coast, the Northeast coast, are warming faster than the rest of the country. And the person that we, our MVP planning grant was mentioned today. So Andrew B. Smith was there and he came to our board and announced that we got a grant. And I guess there's $21 million worth of grants going out and the deadline is February 3rd. So I'm not sure if we're all set for that. And that's what he approved. But they did say they're talking about an MVP 2.0 new program funding. And you can go on the MVP site and fill out an expression of interest. So I don't know who would do that. So, and today was they had predictions all the way up to 2070. They were saying by 2070, we're going to have 100 days of 80 degrees and 90 degrees for like 80 days or 30 days, 30 to 40 days of 90 degrees up here. So almost a half a year of heat. So it's fascinating. I'm glad that Jeff suggested it and there's one more next week. So they have these things called pocket forests, but I hope we don't have to, I hope we can protect our forests up here so, and not develop so much so that we don't have to backtrack and put in pocket forests, because the amount of trees do help with the intense heat. And they do the wet belt bulb temperature for that, measuring the extreme heat. So it changes the nature of things, and you know, it seems like we're in good shape in Templeton in this area because of the amount of forests we have. And it's more impactful towards the cities.
Thank you for that.
That's it. Thank you.
Mike, anything?
I got a couple things tonight. Wanted to mention that Adam took part in the Moody's credit rating discussion. Great news. We are maintaining our AA3 credit rating, and all indications point to it being upgraded within the next year. We've had successful audits and otherwise, so that's really, you know, if people are giving out kudos, they definitely, we all get them for creating a better financial picture for the town. It's Robert Burns' birthday, famous Scottish bard. So if you're around town, eating your haggis, drinking your whiskey, your neeps and your tatties, you can share some poetry. Tried to do a Burns night over at a couple of our establishments in town, but it hasn't taken hold yet. Let's see, we had Tim, myself, Holly, Adam, and Bob went to the Mass Municipal Association Conference last Friday and Saturday. Our new governor spoke to kick off the event. She mentioned specifically she is prioritizing housing, which we are doing that in our community as well. And she also, within the first couple of minutes, discussed priorities of fully funding transportation for school districts. So that was really nice to hear her say that. Hopefully, you know, Ann Goldie was watching on YouTube or something and jumping up and down about that. A couple of other things that we all, like Tim said, we divided and conquered. We went to many different seminars, and otherwise I focused on regionalization, and then board member and manager relations, really good stuff with that. And then the trade show, seeing all the different people that provide that stuff. Candace Graves, if you're still watching out there, there were at least 2 companies that provide pickleball. They do resurfacing. So we got a lot of information. A lot of business cards were passed back and forth. Really good conference. Highly recommend full attendance for that. I think we probably stressed the budget for that by sending the people. Participated. I was invited. Matt Zoller of MPZ, who is taking care of the Baldwinville school project to create 50+ mixed income housing, reached out to me and said there's a nonprofit organization called the Urban Land Institute, or ULI. They try and facilitate housing discussions across the country, and very specifically here in Massachusetts. So he said, if you'd like to be a part of some outreach and discussion, I can put your name in. So today at noon, they had a Zoom call, people from Cambridge, Groton, Connecticut, Weymouth, a lot of urban places. So I was the only elected and the only rural person talking about it. But it was interesting to hear the conversations about how to generate housing ideas, and also how to educate the public and gauge, you know, if the public has a problem, or if they don't think that you have enough housing. We even talked about the right of first refusal for our day mill properties, and kind of the innovative thing that we did I think it's about a year, maybe 2 years ago, when we created the enterprise fund to put money towards securing some of these properties when they come open. So I'm sure that conversation will be ongoing. And then I know, Terry, people are still talking about that sludge project. I know that they extended the open
Yeah.
comments to the 31st. I know that there's much more conversation going on. People, what I would suggest, people need to read the information and not think or suppose through process. It's not good to share misinformation. So
Mhm.
getting the right information, being there. I know you were there as a citizen, walking, going out there when they did the site walk. I think that's great to become educated and see what's going on, because these things do matter. People are concerned about drinking water, so it really does matter to a lot of people. I just ask that they pay attention to what's being said online and in public meetings.
Can I make an additional comment as a select board member? To be well-rounded. There are also ramifications if it doesn't happen. And, you know, just my personal thoughts were, will people lose their jobs? What will happen if they go over to anaerobic digestion and ship out to Fitchburg? Will our plant close down, or will someone, you know, will Gardner close down? You know, it's a concern. It's a multi-dimensional, multifaceted concern. And I do care about, I mean, I'm getting passionate. I do care about all people. I care about drinking water and air, but I
I
also
didn't mean to
care
rile you
about-
up. I just want
You know,
people to get the right information.
Actually, if you look at this with the EDIC, I had a little note here to ask you offline about what happens if, what does EDIC do if a sewer plant shuts down or something? How do they, you know, if we lose industry in town or enterprise funds, does EDIC jump into that situation? And that was, you know, this was for offline, but do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
It's multifaceted, and there is more to it. Like you said, you need to get educated on all fronts.
That's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
you.
I'm just gonna close commenting and echoing Mike's comments. Yeah, the conference was very well attended. The first year as we're coming out of COVID, it's been 3 years since that group got together.
1,200
And,
people.
yeah, it was quite the turnout. 1,200 people from 351 communities. Everybody was represented.
Mhm.
As I said, Mike and I split our forces. I focused on the finances, the rural inadequacies. The governor and lieutenant governor, 12 days into the job, really gave some interesting insight. Their focus is certainly all the communities. And it's like, they're not looking at where you are, how big you are, how small you are. They're looking at a community in the town. One of the sessions, the lieutenant governor was involved with. Barney Frank came in, our US Senator, and Liz Warren was on a remote. She's recovering from some surgery. There are some additional fundings available, and Senator Warren was
Ed Markey.
really big in pushing on it. And it's like, I'm sorry, Ed Markey.
Yep.
I misspoke.
It's okay.
Having shovel-ready projects ready to go and in the pipeline was huge, and we've started that process. But I was taking notes immediately, going, "Oh, we need to look at this, this." And they're talking like another 300 or 400 billion with a B. And her word is, we want to see you get it. Talk to your legislative team. So I'm thinking, yep, we do that. Let's have everything ready to go. But the commitment we're seeing from up above, this is additional fundings that are still following the ARPA trail. And it's like, wow. So the
Wow.
final thing I did was I cast our vote as a community, as one of the 351 member communities of the Mass Municipal Association. I have a 4-page document that I will give to Holly to make part of the public record. This was our proposed resolution supporting and enduring fiscal hardship and partnerships between the cities and towns in the Commonwealth for fiscal year 2024 and beyond. And I wish Bob would have stuck around for just a couple of minutes. One of the first things we spoke to and addressed was our Chapter 90 funds and our road repairs. It has been funded at $200,000 since 2012, and it has not been adjusted for any cost of living or overages. We're still sitting at 200,000. On the original 8-page document that was shared with us about a month ago, the number was 330K and higher. So what they pushed for the Chapter 90 funding was a minimum, at least 300 million annually. Some communities were wanting to push that to a 400. This addressed busing for the schools, Chapter 70 realignment and adjustments, obligations for payment in lieu of taxes to state-owned lands, funding the obligations to reimburse regional schools on their out-of-district vocational transportation, homeless students under the McKinney-Vento unfunded mandate, everything to be included into the budget. This was actually pretty exciting, and it was a unanimous vote by every community that was there. So I was proud to be able to represent our town. People are listening to what we have to say. Now let's hold their feet to the fire. So, Mr. Lamontagne, if you would pass that in as part of the record.
Nice job.
And, you know, the budgeting numbers that they threw at us, we're just sitting there in awe, I was writing them down going, I believe it when I see it, but this sounds good. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. The push for the rural communities was huge. And we had found out earlier like Wednesday, Thursday, just prior to the conference, there was a change from the Department of Public Health, Division of Mental Health, and it involved mental health issues and policing. And the gentleman from the Post Commission and a crisis counselor were there, and some of the things that they proposed and presented was just like, wow, talk about thinking outside the box. So changes are looming and coming. And it's like, what's a different way to do things? One of them was having clinicians and providers that were not law enforcement dealing with things. That's a co-response. And it's like, I'm waiting to get a bunch more information. There's been emails flying back and forth all weekend. So good things. It was definitely well worth the time and investment. I think I can speak for the rest of the contingent that was there. By the end of every day, you went home going, my head hurts. My brain is full.
Free professional headshots.
Oh, really?
Yep.
They had a photographer.
Oh, nice. Did you guys do it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they
4 weeks.
conveniently had that right by the registration table, so you almost couldn't go by them.
4 weeks.
Can I just request a photo?
yeah. Put it up in the office.
Well, is that gonna be suitable for framing, or are you gonna throw darts?
I
Oh,
Super Rose again.
already have a few in this one.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Vice.
I make a motion to adjourn for the evening.
second that motion.
Motion and a seconded. Any discussion? And usually none. Julie,
Just drive safe, guys, going home. The weather's pretty nasty out there. Drive
Thank
safe.
yep. How do you vote?
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
I vote yes as well.